shaking it up like the 5.1 magnitude earthquake that hit the Tokyo area right before President Trump's visit to Japan. It's DIA, or Dudes in Asia. What up, Dude-Maniacs? As always, this is David Hayter.
And this is David Wynn, a.k.a. One Punch Noogie.
Today we're coming at you with episode 36. It's the first episode of the month, so that means we're going to continue with our Unscripted series. Yeah, as you know, my departure date from Japan is drawing closer, so our availability will be less. But we're still going to get great content for you. It might just be pre-recorded like it is today, but you're not missing out at all.
Nope, not at all. So, what's been going on lately, man? Speaking of which, I read today's news, man. That crazy stabbing, dude.
I know, right? That caught me by surprise, dude.
I was just like, what? So wait, what's the official story right now? Because that last thing I heard was, it's like flip-flopping between like 2 or 3 deaths. Maybe the guy who did it is dead. And there's like a bunch of schoolgirls, like elementary age. Is this right?
Yeah. So what I've heard is that, you know, like in Japan, people go to school like in a group, you know, and this was, I believe, in Kawasaki, which is out like, you know, outside of Tokyo. And so these kids were waiting for a bus. And then I think like they're waiting for the bus, and I don't know if the other adults there were like chaperones or if they're just waiting for the bus too. But this guy comes up and he's like dual wielding knives, you know. He's got 2 knives going. And so he just comes up and he starts bum rushing them. He's like, hey, I'm going to kill all y'all. You know what I mean? And then he just starts stabbing people. And then I guess like he stabbed all the kids. I have no idea. But then he, at the end, ended up stabbing himself in the neck and took himself out the game, you know? Yeah.
So what's the confirmed deaths?
So far it says that he wounded 16 people and 3 dead, including himself.
And are the dead kids, or are all the injured kids as well? Or there is like a mixed match?
Yeah, I think the injured people are kids and adults, you know?
Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
Whew. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know, man, but
happened?
That's why it's crazy, man. Like, it's just, there's kind of crazy people everywhere. Like, they say that the guy who did the attack was in his 50s, you know?
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. And, like, as he was stabbing them, he said, I'm going to kill all y'all, basically, you know? But, you know, like, I've been a security guard, you know? And sometimes I feel like I'm being paranoid, like kind of hyper vigilant, but like, man, there's crazy fools out there. You never know when they're going to do anything, you know?
Yeah.
So I know like probably in a week or 2, I was going to do a show about martial arts, but you know, that's why like one of the first things in martial arts is like developing awareness, you know?
Yeah.
Like always kind of minding your surroundings. Like, I mean, nobody expects like a old middle-aged dude with 2 knives just run up on a bunch of kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, that's like you get like, I think you'd really want to know what led to that. What was he going through? Like, you know, what's the root cause of it? Obviously we'll never know, but man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, am I reading this right? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And well, like, you know, that's the thing too, you know, because we have like the mass shootings in America and stuff, you know, and people are like, well, we need gun control. But I'm like, yeah, somebody with a knife could mess some people up too.
And there we go.
But yeah, but I feel like in the knife attacks, it's like 1 person dead or like 2 people dead. And then like some other people wounded, where like if it was like a gun attack, it could be like 15 dead. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Easily.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think it just kind of shows that, like, if somebody really wants to do something, they're just going to go do it, you know?
If there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah. Well, and, like, you know, like I said, I used to be a security guard, and that's when I realized it's like, shit, man, I'm the one that's supposed to be keeping people safe, right? It's like, I'm making, like, $8.50 an hour, dude. I ain't taking a bullet for nobody. Like,
I can't blame you, though, bro. I can't blame you, though.
If you want to be protected, man, you got to protect yourself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you can call the cops, but they're just there to clean up, basically. Yeah. You know, they can't really prevent anybody from doing anything crazy, you know? Yeah. But I think, too, this just kind of shows that, I mean, I guess there's psychological problems everywhere. you know, we're recording this on the day it happened, so maybe more stuff will come out between now and then. But
Yeah.
I think that, like, I don't know, it just shows that, like, in Japan, there's a lot of, like, mental illness, you know? And I think a lot of it kind of comes from, like, the work culture and kind of like the gaman culture, you know, where people just, like, I don't know, put up with a lot of BS and then they just snap one day, you know?
Japan's one of the, like, the least happiest countries in the world, too, right?
I think it depends on the
what index. Yeah, it depends on the index. Right.
Yeah, like maybe on some levels they don't, I don't know, maybe like their work-life balance is out of whack, you know? Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, it has some of the lowest crime rates in the world, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, well, happiness is very subjective anyway, right? Because they might say that they're happy. They might think that they're happy, but...
Yeah, and I think, too, it just kind of shows that when something like this happens in Japan, it's like front page, like national news, you know? Because, like, stabbings are very rare. Like, mass stabbings are even rarer. And then, like, when people go and, like, attack, like, school kids, it's like, what the fuck, you know? But I think even a couple of years ago, there was a guy that ran up into, like, an old folks' home and just started stabbing people, you know? And then, I don't remember exactly when, too, but there's another guy who took his truck and just started driving over people in Tokyo, you know?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, so I don't know, dude, like there's always that potential for danger, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, you ever hear of any like mass attacks or anything like that in Vietnam, dude?
No. I don't think so, dude.
Right? Like I feel like maybe some people fight, maybe it's like one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But nobody really goes and like attacks a whole group of people, right?
It's like if, you know, like I'm not that aware of the news, but I don't like. I think like it's kind of like I think Japan, like what you mentioned to me before, that if there's a crime, it's mostly because of like they know the person or there's something there's some kind of connection, right?
Oh, like not just personal, like, right?
Yeah, it's some kind of personal thing or a gang related issue, but it's not just. I'm gonna just randomly fuck some people up, you know. But I could be wrong. I don't recall any situations like since I've been here because that would have been like the talk of the town, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So no, I can't off the top of my head. I can't remember any situation like that.
Yeah. Well, like now, right? Doing a little research on the fly. I just popped in mass stabbings into Google, and like all of the top results are like from today.
Of course.
Like, you know, from Japan. And then there's another one, Sagamihara stabbing. So that was in Japan as well in 2016. Yeah.
The one time like that someone whipped out a samurai sword, that was like in US, right?
I don't know, man. I remember I watched the episode of Cops where a dude had a samurai sword.
I think he went to like a a Trader Joe's or something. Like, just went. And he was just like, wielding a sword and going gangbang. Like, I could be wrong. I mean, like, I'm going to do some research on that one.
Okay. I mean, it sounds familiar, dude. I'm not familiar with that one. But, I mean, man, people do weird shit, dude. Like, in Florida, like, a guy robbed a liquor store with an alligator. You know?
A gator?
Yeah, he rolled up in there with the alligator, like, give me your money, motherfucker. I'm going to take this beer, too. You know, and it was funny. I think it was on the Daily Show. Like they're doing something about Florida Man. You know,
and
just talking about all the crazy shit that comes out of Florida. And they interviewed him. It's like, why'd you do that? He was like, oh yeah, it's definitely the alcohol. It's like, yeah, I was fucked up. I was like, this is where I usually buy my beer from too. Like they know me. And then they're talking to this other guy that got in trouble because he was doing an alligator dance. Like he'd catch alligators and dance with them and like make videos. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yes, you cannot actually catch alligators. Like, that's against the law. And they're talking to him like, why'd you do that? He's like, well, you know what? I don't know if this will really make sense to you because you're not from Florida. You won't understand it, but it makes sense to me. You know, I do the wrong things, but I do them in the right way. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's pretty funny, man.
Man, I guess Florida's got some shit, huh?
Yeah, well, like in America, there's Florida,
and there's Texas.
Yeah, well, Texas is different, man. You might just get shot out there. No,
But they're in their own world for sure, dude.
yeah, they are, man. And then, like in Japan, then you have Osaka. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, just people are out there, man. And people do strange things, and I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah, there's gotta be like, there's probably like some loneliness mixed with some drugs, some, I don't know, man, unsatisfaction. There's probably so many factors, man, that could lead you to that point.
Yeah, well, you know, and I feel like, you know, we talk a lot about building good habits, building good routines, you know.
Correct.
And so I think when you kind of have something going for you, you know, it's like you're less likely to do crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sabotage your own, what should I say, like your own progress. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't want to just destroy everything you worked for, right?
Yeah.
And but if you didn't work for nothing, you got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah. You know, and something that my mom would always say too is that, like, you know, you can kind of get caught up in cycles, you know? And so when you're doing good things, you get on a good cycle. Things become easier for you. Mm-hmm. And then, like, when you're kind of, like, fucking around, like, then you get on, like, a bad cycle and, like, your life just becomes, like, hard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think,
so,
it's like, what's this guy? Tony Robbins. Same thing. It's kind of like positive upward momentum, or if you're not in that direction, you're going downward is negative, you know? So
yeah.
You got to just keep fueling it, because if you kind of put your foot off the gas and it goes, you know, it's got to be maintained. It's not just like, oh, okay, I already started it, then I don't work on it anymore.
Yeah, man, for sure, dude. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I guess with some of these people, like, maybe they just are having like a bad time at work, or some of them like don't even work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like there's a lot of that in Japan now too. Have you heard about that? They call them parasite singles.
Parasite singles? No, dude.
Yeah. So these are like people where, like, growing up, they kind of like just fucked around in school. And then, like, their parents, like, worked their ass off and just gave them everything, like, they ever wanted, you know? And then when they get older, like, because they've been taken care of their whole life. Like, they don't know how to work. They never went to school. They don't have any skills. And then their parents have money, and they're basically just supporting their grown kids who are, like, 20, 30, 40. You know what I mean? And then, like, those people, like, never get married, like, never have kids, like, never work. And as Japan is aging, like, people are starting to get worried, like, hey, what are we going to do about these parasite singles? Because, like, once their parents are dead, like, the gravy train's over, man. They're not going to be getting paid anymore, you know? So, yeah, I don't know, dude. It's a trip, man. Like, it's kind of interesting because as I walk around town, I try to look out for them. Like, okay, you're out in the middle of the day. That means you have no job. No, I get a little judgmental on them, you know. But.
Yeah, I mean, you better assess the situation at all times, right?
Yes, that's how I roll, man. I'm just sizing people up, you know, judging other fools so I can feel better about my life.
Yeah.
No, but you never know, man. Just things like that always kind of intrigue me, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm a dude where I'll make my, like, snap decisions, but then I also am, like, smart enough to know that that's just my snap decision. I don't know the whole story. You know what I mean? But, yeah. I don't know, dude. We'll see what happens in the news, like, 10 to 20 years when there's just a bunch of unemployed, middle-aged Japanese people, you know? It's going to be a bunch of, like, 50, 60-year-old beggars on the street.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah. I think Vietnam will have some of that too.
Yeah.
Because the Vietnamese people are, like, very naturally just trying to take care of their kids. Like, my one cousin, I remember I told you the story, was like, he was probably 30 and he had a hardcore drug addiction. Like, I think he was probably doing meth and cocaine, I think. Something like, even heroin. Like, he was borderline, like, it's not soft drugs, but the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And pretty much, like, his mom, which is my cousin, and was like, you know what? Like, I'll pay for your drug addiction. Just don't go out. You know?
Wow.
Just don't go out and meet your fucking friends. Like, if you want to stay home and get high all day, like, I'll pay for that shit. you know, but like that's how much like they're trying to protect their kid or trying to, you know, baby them instead of like go figure it out, go, you know, go find a job or do something else. Like, no, I'll pay for your shit. Like, just don't leave. You know, I love you that much.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like, well, people come from a place where they think that they're doing something good for them, but they're, you know, it's just like enabling them to not actually ever have to deal with their problems. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like,
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in that situation, because that's probably going to be something else too that's going to be becoming a thing in Vietnam is like rehab, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it's
getting these fools off these drugs, man.
Yeah, meth is still like the worst one, I think.
Yeah, well, I think, thinking
Southeast Asia has a big meth problem.
Yeah, like when you think about drugs in America, it's like recreational. Like people get off of work, they want to have a good time, you know? Mm-hmm. But what I see in Southeast Asia, like developing countries, is people take it so they can work longer and make more money.
Or they got time in their hands, they're just going to blow it away on drugs.
Yeah. So that dude was using it more recreationally.
Oh, he was definitely doing recreation. He wasn't working a damn day.
Never mind then.
His mom pretty much, his mom paid for everything.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, like, I could see, like, okay, don't go out, and I will front you, like, some money so we can work on a plan to get you off, you know, kind of like taper it off, you Correct. Know? Versus just like, all right, how much do you want today? Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you sure? Is that enough? Do you need more?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, ooh, like, damn, that's no good. You know? Yeah, definitely, man. I think things have gotten better because eventually I think the money began to run out and he was like, holy shit, I can't do this. And I think he opened his own like repair shop for motorbikes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, like, things did improve, but still, just like the fact that it was even available and was being executed, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then just like all that money and like time that's been wasted, you know?
Correct. No, it's because like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to be super judgmental, but I mean, this case, it was like pretty bad because my aunt, like her husband, like he came from a rich family, but he didn't do shit. So he just inherited the money when I think his parents died, and then they just lived off of, putting in the bank and living off of the interest.
Okay.
You know, so nobody in that family did nothing besides just sort of reek off of like that money. But eventually they just started using it and using it. Then eventually after like paying for everyone's addiction, including the husband's, like alcohol. He's lazy as hell. It's like super rude. Like I don't like that guy at all. Yeah, I hate him. And I don't hate him, but it's like I just don't like him. But yeah, he's just then they just, I guess they had to turn the boat around, and the kids eventually started having to do something because it wasn't going to run forever.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, right? It's like necessity is the mother of invention, you know?
Exactly.
And like, I watch some Dr. Phil from time to time, you know what I mean? But it's funny because like he'll interview somebody on there, right? And it'll be like similar type of situation. Like my kid just stays at home. Like he don't want to go out. He don't want to get a job. He don't want to help around the house. Like he's rude to me. He's rude to these people. Like, he just like drinks and like fucking does like meth and every day. Like, what's up? And then Dr. Phil will be like, so I look at what's going on here and I don't ask myself, why are you doing these things? I ask myself, why aren't you doing these things? Why not stay at home and get fucked up all day? Oh, Jesus. But man.
That was a very nice Dr. Phil, bro.
Yes, thanks to Dr. Phil for being our guest this week. We appreciate his time to talk about drug addiction among the Ute in Asia. But it's true though, man. Like if somebody doesn't have to do something, then they won't do that shit.
Yep.
And so like if you create an environment for somebody where like like they can just get up and do whatever they want, and like there's no reason for them to do anything else, it's like fuck it, man. Why not?
Yeah. why the fuck not?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I kind of lived that for a little bit too. My mom was like, I mean, luckily I didn't have that bad habits. Granted, I was like probably smoking weed and playing a lot of video games, but my mom was kind of supporting that life, you know?
Yeah.
But
I feel like everybody kind of bums it for a while, but it's not like you wake up like, the fuck, Mom, where's my Cheerios?
No, I didn't do that.
You know I only eat the honey nut. What the fuck?
So yeah. But I mean, I'm happy I grew out of it for sure.
Yeah. Well, and and I feel too, like in those situations, at least like you learn from it, and you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can still appreciate, the people that kind of hooked you up,
Mm-hmm.
But then, I don't know, man, it's like a, what do you say, catch-22, it's like on the one hand, it's like cool that, you went through it and like things aren't worse than they are. But on the other hand, it's like, hey, you raised me. Like, you taught me this was okay. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then, like, because, I bummed it for a while, too. And I feel like even if my mom were to come and be like, hey, you need to do something, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if I'd be ready to hear it at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's almost, you can't help that person until they themselves are ready. No matter what, someone else is trying to throw on you, trying to push you. It's like, if that person's that stubborn, that in their own head, there's really nothing you could do.
Yeah, it's very true, man.
Yeah, it's all you can do is just throw the advice out, put it out there, and just like walk away.
Yep, indeed, dude. Yeah, we're getting to about 20 or so minutes here, man.
Wow.
What do you think? Maybe a good place to leave it?
Yeah, depends on you, bro.
Yeah, I think so, dude. I got some stuff I gotta handle, man.
Sounds good, bro.
Yeah, we'll tack some on to the next episode, see what's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that flew by fast, dude.
Yes, indeed, man. So, that does it for another fresh episode of Dudes in Asia. I always enjoy these unscripted talks. Today we're able to talk about a lot of things like mass stabbings, Florida man, mental illness, freeloading, enabling. I think just with every episode we do, we want to teach you a little bit about Asia, give you something that'll make your life better, so we can all work together, make a good global community, say fuck the bullshit.
Man, you always got a killer line, bro. You always got a killer line.
I'm good at the wrap-up.
Yes, you are. You're the fucking master of the wrap-up. Well, I can't follow that up, so I was going to sign out. This is One Punch Diggy signing out. Be sure to check out our blog at dudesinAsia.blogspot.com or hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/dudesinAsia.
And if you want to follow me on Twitter, search for @DavidHater. That's @DavidHar. Peace out.
Peace out, y'all.